I've got a spanking new haircut, dangerously high cholesterol levels, and the kind of superciliousness that could crack walnuts. Let's do this thing. Christ, I'm a bellend. So before we start, I just want to say that you should feel welcome to call me anything you want in the comments below. To say I'm starved of affection is to participate in criminal understatement. So say whatever you want. It's all just one big virtual hug, and I love you all. This game dissembles. It promises to be a pleasant trek in the country. There's even a darling little pub. But don't let this game fool you for 1 second. Play badly, and it'll smack you around. The players will screw you over by taking the space and the resources that you want, and the game will screw you over by using its beautifully wrought weather mechanic to grind your plans to a halt. None of this is wanton, though. Sure, the game will smack you around, but only if you let it. Snowdonia is a game that values skill. It's an elegant synthesis of pleasantness and cruelty. It draws you in with its promises of a pleasant Sunday afternoon distraction, but from the very first placement, it constantly asks you questions, it constantly challenges you. This is a game from one of the very best designers around, and its mix of amiability and bite is constructed very much in the image of the designer himself. The challenge of finding a game that can cater to a large group of people and doesn't last until the heat death of the universe is a big one. Between Two Cities, though, does this with aplomb. There's constant communication between the players, there are difficult decisions, and an engine that can propel you through a real game in 20 minutes. This is an achievement that shouldn't be overlooked. It's also a wonderful introduction to hobby gaming and is almost always ignored in these conversations, and that's a shame. You should try it if you get the chance. Also, the fact that I playtested it in prototype form at Essen and my name is in the rule book doesn't hurt either. I don't like to think of it as narcissism, more like self-love. This game is only at 48 because I've only played it once, and if I played it more it'd be a lot higher. Cole Worley doesn't pull his punches here in reviling the brutality and the hypocrisy of the Western world as it looted the East. This is a game of dinner jackets and blood-soaked daggers, of glittering chandeliers and shipholds crammed with opium. It perfectly evokes the filth beneath the cummerbund and shows how being at the right parties and buttering up the right people can wash off any amount of gore. Those in charge hate us, and they want to consume us, and it has always been that way. An infamous traffic should get you off your seats and into the town square. It should make your blood simmer. An infamous traffic is what happens when an artist gets angry enough to rail at something. And it's brilliant. Games aren't funny. Not intrinsically funny. Sure, those player-generated moments of joy, they can make you wet yourself. But those laughs are not in the mechanisms of the game. It's like saying camshafts are funny. They're not, as far as I know. Last Will, though. Last Will is funny. This is a wonderfully designed game that is a joy to play, but its magnificence lies in the juxtapositions it throws up. Horses in opera boxes, romantic candlelit dinners with your greyhound, and all of this is produced by the mechanisms. All of this is produced by the desire to construct the most efficient engine to blow all of your money. Fecklessness as a long-form gag. It would be depressing if it wasn't so funny. But it is funny. The amount of time I've seen people's eyes light up as they realise the connections that their decisions have made. Games aren't funny. Not intrinsically funny. Unless it's Last Will. If you can fit a proper game with proper decisions and proper frustrations into a single deck of cards, you live in rarefied air. And Lancaster lives in rarefied air because he designed Arboretu. Arboretu is another one of these games that promises a gentle distraction, but it's a pitched battle. It's all deceit and cleverness. It can promote elation or angry disappointment. The game is propelled by its incredibly clever scoring, the function of which is to deny other players. This is why it's so brutal, but it's also so satisfying. If you can pull off what you want to pull off, you feel great all day. Arboretum is fantastic, Also, the shiny cards, greatest component in the history of gaming. Come at me. I'll link the review of this game from a survivor of the Siege of Sarajevo. It's the best piece of writing that's ever been done on board games. This is a game that punches you in the gut. This is a game that gives you power over people's lives. This is a game that explores the fragility of humanity in the most extreme of conditions. It reveals the beast that lies ready within us when we're denied food or water. They say a dog is only ever 2 meals away from becoming a wolf. We're only a working tap away from becoming monsters, and this game explores that. It's a game of the diabolical and the divine. It's a game of struggle and brutality brought on by need. This is a game of true humanity. Play it. Rob Daviau knows his genres and he hits the bullseye here. This game is hammer horror, shot through with National Lampoons. It drips camp from every line of text and every component. It requires buy-in from the players, but if you do, you're rewarded with a game that is tense and silly and guffaw-inducing. The legacy elements tell a story of the sins of the father being visited on the son tenfold that is great fun. Whack on the misfits and the cramps, don a cape, and let one of the best storytellers in gaming lead you down dark corridors and spider-filled forests. There are jump scares and oodles of blood that look suspiciously like tomato ketchup. It's Tales of the Crypt in a box, and it's amazing. Pandemic was the game that got me through the door, but the Resistance Avalon was the game that slammed the door behind me, tossed the key out of the window, and left me forever a hostage in a cardboard prison. This game is brilliant. It's the reason why we do this thing, to get around a table and bask in each other's presence. It promotes communication. It gives us the space to really get to know each other. Gaming isn't merely a nice thing to do. It's the distillation of who we are. I've so many happy memories of this game, of flushed cheeks when a lie is discovered, of fake and sometimes real indignation when your trust has been breached. Sure, a lone dickhead can sink this game, but get just the right amount of booze in you, and this game is distilled fun. Also, I'm never a spy. Lancaster takes the static mechanism of worker placement and gives it dynamism and bite. It's as much a bidding game as it is a worker placement game, and these two ideas meld together to create something excellent. Gaming is such a wonderful thing to do because you can play games like Lancaster. It creates a space that every decision you make can be entirely in your own self-interest. For an hour and a half, you can think about yourself and what you want. Life doesn't offer that. The strands that connect us to other people tremble at the slightest provocation. Thank God for games like Lancaster, where I can be an unadorned dickhead. The reason this game is to be admired is not because it smuggles a coin game into a delightfully digestible package. That's just the headline. The substance of the story is that every faction is substantially different, and yet the game feels cohesive. Vastly different ingredients are blended together into a smoothie that is tart and delicious. Everyone is playing a wildly different game, and the same one simultaneously. Every time I play a game of Root, I end up thinking, how the hell did he do that? Every time I play a game of Root, I end up thinking, I wish I could be as good at something as Cole Worley is at designing games. Alas, though, I have no talent. So there we are then, the first 10. Please let me know what you think down below. Also, did I mention I had a Patreon? Oh, I did. Well, ignore me then. And I really mean this. Could you please subscribe? With these low numbers, I'm really starting to get ridiculed at parties.